Hi.
Huh? Here we are again.
Hello,
Video number,
friends.
I love it. Video number 3. I'm here with my dear friend Molly. Molly, thank you so much for joining us for the 3rd time. If you guys remember, we have already done 2 videos. So we have looked at different ways to look into your birth chart to determine where you are in your career cycle. So I will link the other 2 videos below after we record this. Today's topic is, where are you in your career cycle? And Molly has put together an amazing guide, which, you know me, I love guides. I like to see things and understand where things are. So Molly, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me and inspiring me to create this guide.
So Molly is in my tribe, and I love just spending time with people that use ancient wisdom to really help us decipher where we are in our lives and where we are in our career. So today we're going to dive into your birth chart. So if you have not downloaded it, we're going to tell you how to do that while we're talking. But Molly, you want to give us a little recap on what we've talked about and why this is our 3rd session? Hi, Kate.
Yeah, well, in our first session, we talked about why your birth chart is a helpful tool in career planning and career, figuring out who you are and what you want to be when you grow up. I still haven't really done that. And in the second meeting, we just pulled a few points out of the birth chart. We only have half an hour. There's only so much birth charting you can do in half an hour, but we kind of dug into the birth chart and we got the sun sign and how that's different than your Mercury sign. And then another sign that's really important in your career, which is your Saturn sign, because Saturn has to do with work and responsibility, and it's a planet of career, and it shows an area of your life where you it starts out as a weakness, but as you grow and mature, it becomes a strength. So in this tonight, we're going to go through 12 signs. We only have 30 minutes, so that's about a 3-minute average per sign. So we really got to move tonight to get all the signs in. But we're going to go through the career cycle, and I can actually tell you, based on the sign of Saturn in your chart, which looks like a lowercase h with a cross through the top. That's what Saturn looks like. Whatever sign is next to that. Now, if you see a birth chart, it might be a symbol. You might have to look up the symbol to see what sign that Saturn is in. Okay. And based on that Saturn sign, I can tell you where you are in the 12-year cycle of your career. Okay. So we all start out, we start cycles every 12 years, So if you're older than 12, you've already had one of these cycles, and probably more for most of us. Okay. But it repeats every 12 years, and it's a really reliable forecaster of where you're at. Are you at the beginning? Are you near the middle? Are you at the end? And what kinds of things are happening for you in career at each one of these stages?
I'm excited. I opened my birth chart. For those of you who do not know how to get your birth chart, you can go to astro.com and you can download your birth chart. I'll show my birth chart at some point so we can kind of see again what we're looking for. But can I open the document?
Yeah, go. Yeah, let's do
Okay.
it. Let's do it. The
All right.
document. Okay, those of
Um,
you who are live, we're not ready to give you the document yet, but it will be available for you at some point. It's a just general 2025 career outlook based on your Saturn sign, which is you probably different than your sun sign in all likelihood.
Make this
Okay.
bigger so everybody can see it. So how does that look? So this is the beginning of the document we're going to review. How
Yeah,
does that look?
that looks really good. So let's look at the diagram for a second. I just want to go over the
Okay.
diagram really fast because we've only got now 24 minutes to do 12 sides, which is not enough, but we'll figure it out. You see this diagram, it shows 8 phases. These are lunar phases, okay? That's the moon, and they repeat every month. So what we are doing now with your Saturn sign is we are going to use that, and we're going to use Jupiter, the cycle of Jupiter, which is 12 years long. We're going to start it at where Saturn is in your chart, and that's going to be the start of a new cycle. Based on that, I can tell you where you are, right? But each one of these phases in the career cycle is going to last about a year and a half. Okay, about a year and a half. You have 8 phases, they're all a year and a half. That adds up to 12 years. And what we're doing is we're superimposing the energies of the lunar cycle over that 12-year pattern instead of just a month pattern. So you will see words like new moon and full moon, but we're actually talking about the business planets, the career planets, Saturn and Jupiter. And we're going to start with Gemini because that's where Jupiter is now. And the Saturn and Geminis, like me and like JJ, are the ones having a career renaissance. We're in the new moon part of the cycle. Our cycle has just begun. Okay. And another thing I've done, just real quick, there is a number next to Saturn in your chart. A number. Okay. There's probably 2, but one's in large type and one's in really small type. The number in large type is the one you want. If it's between 0 and 10, if it's between 0 and 15, sorry, I typoed that. If it's between 0 and 15, you're in group 1. Group 1 is your group. If it's 15 to 25, you're in group 2. If it's 26 to 29, you're in group 3. Not all the signs have group things, but some of them do. If you're going to change from one phase to another in this year, then I've kind of grouped it out so I can tell you pretty much when that's going to happen. So let's talk about Saturn and Gemini and how Saturn and Gemini, we're in a new cycle that has either just started quickly. If we're in group 1, it started quickly just this past year in the summertime. A fast beginning that took place between June and July. If you're in group 2, you'll have a 3-stage changeover from the old cycle to the new cycle. This is a longer process of creating this new beginning and stepping into this new cycle. And that process stretches from this summer, which just passed, to early in 2025. So you're about halfway through that transition point. And then group 3 will have that changeover take place quickly, just like group 1, but it's going to be later on in the process. It's going to be in the springtime. All right. Prior to the beginning of the new cycle, you might be feeling quite stuck in the old cycle, but you're likely pursuing a new interest of some kind, either on the side or in a limited way. And you're very, very ready to make this your main gig. You'd love to be in there. And the time is coming for this, most likely. All right. The time might be right to move into something different. Okay. When a new cycle begins, you find yourself free from the restrictions and the limitations of the old cycle. Suddenly, like, hallelujah, the skies open up and you're able to do more of the things that you want to do. Awesome. You're moving into the new moon phase of the career cycle, the new moon phase of the career cycle. I call it the spaghetti throwing phase. Have you ever heard of people throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks, to see if it's done yet? All right. So you're in the spaghetti throwing phase, Saturn and Gemini, or you will be soon, depending on what group you are. The spaghetti throwing phase is the new cycle in its infancy. You can also think about it as a seed planting phase. Okay, when a gardener or a farmer plants a row of seeds, they don't know exactly which of those seeds is going to sprout and grow into a whole big plant. So we just cast our seeds and then let things happen. Okay, and that's where you are. You're throwing that spaghetti. You'll figure out later which of the spaghetti ones are sticking and which ones aren't. So experiment, keep an open mind, and generate ideas, just like me and JJ are doing right now. Okay.
And it looks like Kate is too. We're all there. So before we jump in, I just want to kind of lay it out. So Gemini is essentially, for the sake of Saturn, it's essentially the first box, which is the new moon. We're going to go counterclockwise around the circle. And so every sign that follows Gemini in order is how we're going to go through this. So look for your Saturn. If we want to show them my chart, we can just, I'm just going to pop over to that for a second. And I think that it's important to kind of see what we're looking for before we move on so that you can be you can check it out. So I'm just going to go here. Hopefully you can see. Yep. Okay. Can you see my screen?
No.
Oh, yep. Okay. Hold on. Um, all right, here we go. I'm going to show you. All right. So I'm just going to show you real quick. So here is hopefully you can see my birth chart. Okay. You
Mm-hmm.
can. And so here's my Saturn right here in my 12th house, and Gemini is here on the outskirt. All these signs are on the out of the yellow. So we're starting here with Gemini, and we're going to work our way around the chart for every sign. So if your Saturn is in Cancer, it'll be over here with this symbol for Cancer. And when you pull your birth chart, all the planets are here, and you can kind of see it working around. So if you have
Right.
very specific questions, you can definitely reach out to Molly, and she can go through your specific birth chart with you. The idea is this gives you enough information for you to get started, but the idea is the birth chart is really incredible tool for you, not only in your life, but also in your career. So
Right.
as we move through the next section, I just wanted to give perspective of where we are, what we're looking at, and how you can figure this out yourself, or you can reach out to Molly.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that
Yeah.
background. That's really important. All
All
right.
right.
Saturn and Cancers. Saturn and Cancers. You are finishing up the end of the final phase of your current cycle. You're in what we call the balsamic phase, the end phase, the last phase of the cycle. Your new cycle, if you're group 1, is going to be June or July of 2025. If you're in group 2, you're going to be August of 2025 to about mid 2026. If you're group 3, this is going to be mid 2026. Okay. The final phase of the career cycle is about releasing this old cycle. You're in a releasing phase. While you generate ideas, you visualize, and you manifest the new cycle on the energetic level. Okay. Nothing's coming together on the physical level yet, but everything is happening on the energetic level during the balsamic phase. You're really projecting your energy forward in time a lot. On the outside, it might look and feel like not much is happening in career. In fact, you might be feeling maximum restlessness and boredom with where you are now. All the good stuff is happening under the surface. So dare to dream, Saturn in Cancer. The blockages holding you back will clear soon, and the universe is about to hand you a box of spaghetti next year. Okay. Group 1 begins throwing the spaghetti in June 2025. Group 2, again, has a 3-stage transition between the balsamic and the new that takes place over a longer period of time between the summer and the spring. And then mid 2026 is when group 3 gets their spaghetti box. Okay. Awesome. Shall we move on into Saturn and Leo? Saturn and Leo, you are in the balsamic phase for the entire year of 2025. You are you're just starting out on this final phase of your career cycle. So you're just starting that inward manifestation phase. Okay. Your career cycle started somewhere between 2014 and mid 2015. So in the past 10 or 11 years, you have built something majestic, something worthy of a queen like you, Leo. And 2025 will be about reimagining your work and yourself and readying for a new beginning. You're looking forward to something new, but your ability to really fully step into the new interests and passions that are drawing your heart right now will be limited until your new career cycle begins. The transition to the new cycle will happen sometime between summer 2026 and summer 2027. Okay. Now let's talk Virgo. Saturn in Virgo. Your current cycle, the one that you're in now, began late in 2015 or in 2016, depending on exactly where in Virgo that Saturn is in your chart. 2025 finds you 9 to 10 years into this cycle in the thick of your reorienting phase. That's a busy, busy part of the cycle when you must be really strategic as you face challenges and problems. You likely made an important career move around 2021 or 2022 that is still supporting you today. You also may be gaining some new skills now to keep up with the times. Great point in the cycle to focus on continuing education or to go back to school and pick up some new skills, learn some new things. If you have Saturn in Libra, you are moving from the disseminating part of the cycle to the third quarter part of the cycle. Okay. So your career cycle began around 2016 or 2017, like the later half of 2016 or the early part of 2017. You have picked up so much expertise by now that you may be training or teaching others about what you've been doing. Since you started this cycle. You will be making some important strategic decisions in 2025 and 2026 if you're group 1 or 2, or 2026 and 2027 if you're 2 to 3. As your career moves into the busy and challenging third quarter phase. If you have Saturn in Scorpio in your chart, then you are in the disseminating phase all year. Your current cycle began either late 2017 or sometime in 2018, and then peaked 6 years later in 2023 or 2024. A lateral move is common during this peak phase that you just had in 2023 or 2024. A lateral move meaning you may have shifted your role, like gone from, you might have shifted your role in your job or moved to a different company, took your talents away, took them to a different company, maybe where they would pay you more. And you might find yourself now in some kind of a senior position or having a role of responsibility where you might be training or teaching others the skills that you've learned or shared, and giving your wisdom to whoever would benefit from it. If Saturn is in Sagittarius in your chart, you are in the full moon phase, the full phase. This is where, this is the halfway point of the cycle. Your current, thank you. JJ's illustrating our points very well. Thank you so much. Your current 12-year cycle began either in late 2018 or sometime in 2019. Groups 1 and 2 have already reached the halfway point of the cycle, and group 3 gets there in the spring of 2025. A lateral move is likely during this part of the cycle, just like Saturn and Scorpio had recently. You're getting yours pretty soon. A lateral move, a usually beneficial move. The seeds that you planted in the first year of your cycle, again, 2019-ish, are bearing fruit now. It's harvest time. And you've taken those seeds about as far as they can grow. You've taken the idea about as far as you can and learned something to the point of mastering it. It wouldn't surprise me if you took on a new role or leveraged your experience into a new position at a different workplace sometime in 2025. So let's talk about Saturn and Capricorn now. I was worried about time, but now I'm feeling a little better about it. We're really getting through these. Excellent. Saturn in Capricorn, your career is in a growth phase. It's called the gibbous phase, and it's turning to full at some time in 2025. Since your cycle began in 2020, you have been investing your time and energy into it. So it's 3 to 4 years old now. 4 to 5, whatever. The seeds that you planted then are growing fast, and you can see the fruit ripening on the vine. You've earned the skills, the experience, and the resources that you need in order to improve your situation. You might harvest a new role or job in a new company. Group 1, you'll see these things come to fruition in one quick shot in the summer, or you'll enter the fruition phase. I'm going to say you're going to enter the fruition phase in one shot during the summer, June and July this year. Group 2, you're going to see this process unfold more slowly in 3 parts between August of this year and June, or August of 2025 and June of 2026. And then if you're in group 3, your career harvest starts to come in June of 2026. So let's talk about Saturn in Aquarius. Saturn in Aquarius is in the fruiting phase all year. This is called the gibbous phase, all right? If you have Saturn in Aquarius, you started your new cycle in 2021. Since then, you have been building up to a point of fruition that is going to take place sometime between summer 26 and summer 27. Group 1 is already starting to see the fruits of your labors, and group 2 and 3 will follow suit shortly in 2025. Okay, this is a real growth phase. It's like the fruit appears on the vine, okay? And when it, like if you're growing a fruit tree, let's say you're growing peaches, all right? Those peaches, when they first start out, they're really small. So at the beginning of this gibbous phase, you're going to see really tiny fruits. And then as this phase progresses, they will get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then the next phase after this is the harvest time. So you're really in a growth place right now, Saturn in Aquarius. Between now and 2029, your vision gets clearer and a new direction or sense of purpose excites you and motivates you to branch out and move into new areas. So you're expanding. Saturn in Pisces, you guys are in an action phase and you're having your Saturn return. So that's it, like a double full circle kind of thing. Well, it's full circle plus it's action. The first quarter phase is action. Your current career cycle seeds were planted in 2022. So your cycle is about 2 to 3 years old now. In 2025, you move into one of the busier parts of your cycle where those seeds, which are now young plants, need a lot of tending and weeding and babying so that they can actually get to the point where they have the little peaches, right? Because that's what's next after this. There's a lot of work to do, a lot of decisions to be made so that the way ahead will be clear. You may feel like you're reinventing the wheel or reworking something you created a year or 2 ago. And your career cycle is going to peak sometime between summer of 2027 and the summer of 2028. Saturn in Aries. You're in the assertive action phase, which is either something you're going to love or something that you are like, I don't like being assertive, because that's your Saturn sign. Your career cycle started, Saturn in Aries, somewhere between mid-2022 and mid-2023. It's still a pretty new cycle. You started planting those seeds back then, a couple of years ago, and now you're watching them come up and you're working hard to clear obstacles to their growth and health. You're still unsure about what they will become, but you're seeing those signs of life and they're exciting. Yes, you have been busy and you're going to stay pretty busy, I think, for the next couple of years. You'll have some important decisions to make when the first quarter career phase kicks in, which is the next phase after. When the first quarter career phase, blah, blah. Okay, I already worked this out. I don't know why I'm thinking it through again. Maybe because I'm talking about Saturn and Aries and I'm in Aries. I don't know. Anyways, your first quarter career phase will kick in soon. You'll have important decisions to make, and this will happen in the summer 2025 for group 1. Between this summer, this coming summer in 2025, and next summer 2026 for group 2. And then mid 2026, like June, July 2026, if you are group 3 Saturn. Okay. And finally, Saturn in Taurus, last but not least, you are in the crescent phase of career. Okay. That's the second phase after new moon. So you already threw the spaghetti. That's done. And but your current cycle is still young, having just started between the spring of 2023 and the spring of 2024. You're just coming out of your spaghetti throwing phase now. So continue tending those emerging seedlings, continue observing that spaghetti, watering the seeds, waiting for those ideas to begin to take root. What does it mean to tend to career seedlings? Well, paperwork, busy work, red tape, attending meetings, creating bylaws and best practices, clearing away the weeds and the obstacles to your growth, whatever they are, and building the structures that will support you as your career cycle matures. And that's our last sign. And we have 3 minutes to spare. I am proud of us. Oh, you need to unmute. I think
I'm
you,
proud
yeah.
of us too, but I still have so many questions. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm gonna ask some because I'm like, okay, let's think about this. So say someone's listening to this a year and a half from now. Do they go down the chart to the next one, or do they start at the back and move upward? Like how, like we'll use myself. I'm a Gemini, for
Okay.
instance, so I'm in the new moon. So my next stage, is it a crescent?
Your next stage is going to be the crescent phase, right?
So the crescent phase, and I look at the chart to kind of see where I'm starting. So wherever I'm starting, it's going to be a year and a half in that phase, essentially. And then I'm going to go to the next phase counterclockwise.
Right. Right.
Okay. So if I was using this sheet, which we're going to put up for people to download with their email so that you can have and work through, I'm actually going to start from the bottom up after I go from my or kind of what was the
Yeah.
this what was the one before me, which for my case I have to go bottom up as a Gemini.
Yeah. Yeah. Even better, let's just do this again because the groups are going to change next year.
Ooh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Let's do it again. So make sure you pay attention to the date, right? Today is November 13th, 2024. So where are you right now in your career cycle? We'd love for you to drop it in the chat. Love to see it. And then we'll get together next year and do it again because I think for us, this is so insightful. Like some of us, like myself, maybe others listening, I get frustrated sometimes in my career. But if you listen to all the stages, it seems completely normal to be stuck, reinvent
Yeah.
yourself, start over, throw some more spaghetti. So,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think people use this, Molly?
Oh,
What a
well, I mean, this technique is one of the most reliable techniques that I use in my practice for predicting where someone is in their career cycle. And just having that context, I think, is everything because then you know where to put your energy. For example, if you're in the balsamic phase, it's like, why do I feel like I want to jump out of my skin right now? Why do I feel so disengaged from what I'm doing right now? Well, yeah, that's because you're in the clearing out phase because a new exciting thing is about to begin. And then people are like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like say, where I was 20 years, however many years ago, I want to be an astrologer, but I'm stuck in this like administrative assistant job. Um, and and when I look back on my history, if I look back on my dates and stuff, I see that I was in the balsamic phase right before I struck out on my own as an astrologer in 2001. So it all just starts to make sense. It all just really comes together and you just see where you're at. You have that context. Um it's validating and it's empowering too.
I love that. I love that. So stay tuned. We're going to put the chart up. You'll be able to access it on Molly's site. We'll put that up with the pages so that you can grab it with your email. And for me, this is very reassuring. I've had different charts done, and people often say, well, 2024, 2025 is really going to start to pick up, but they don't give the context why. And I think for many of us, having this context, having this worksheet, finding your own birth chart, which we talk about in the first video, which is posted below, and really starting to map out some of this. And when you need help, like I always do, I call on my friends, which are the people that join me here. And Molly is so fantastic to create this for us and spend the time giving us highlights of what you can expect. But as you can see on your birth chart, there are so many other things going on that it's really kind of fun to kind of see how everything plays together on your birth chart and how it's impacting not only your career, but your life.
Yeah, and I want to let you guys know, if you're out there, that an individual reading of your birth chart will give you, instead of just the groups and the range and the sort of, you'll have an exact date when your spaghetti throwing phase begins. You'll have an exact date when, all these things come together. So that gives it just even more sort of pinpoint accuracy. But still, this is pretty individualized by your Saturn sign, which is not a way that astrologers usually bring the 12 signs into people's worlds. So it's a little different than what you usually get, but and it's an 8-phase cycle. When we have 12 signs, 8 phases, so that's also a little weird and a little challenging as an astrologer to put together. But I think I've given you a pretty good guide that you can use to kind of gauge where you are. And if you're interested in something that is more individualized, more tailored to you, then we could certainly get together and talk career transits and career aspects, and what does your birth chart say about what you should do when you grow up, and all of these great things. There's so much to explore. I think you're muted again, my darling.
I was like, oh, this is so fun. This is so fun. I love just sharing these little nuggets for people to pique their curiosity, but also give them intel on where they are in their life's journey. So thank you so much for creating this worksheet. Thank you so much for being my friend. And thank you for everyone who's joined us. I just love these conversations. They completely inspire me. And I'm just grateful
Hmm.
that you're part of my network.
Well, I am grateful to be part of your network too, and that you are a part of mine. And I always enjoy our time together. And thank you, whoever's watching. Thank you for watching, whether you're here live or you're watching later on video. Just really appreciate all of your support and your kind words.
Oh, so good. For those of you that want to download your birth chart, you can check out the notes in the first section. You could also go to astro.com and pull down your birth chart, or reach out to Molly directly. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you for so many amazing nuggets, and I look forward to seeing many of you again here next time.
Sounds good. Thank you all. Thank you, JJ, so very much for this fantastic channel.
So good. Thank you.